Hello and welcome to the Bee Formless Flow-Driven CEO podcast. Saturday morning here and Friday afternoon in Bellevue, Washington, and I would like to welcome to the show Dr. Nooshin Darvish. I think I got that right, didn't I?
You did. You
Yes.
did great.
Welcome. Welcome. That's Nooshin. I just got it all wrong then. Just after I just checked. Lovely to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Bea, for having me. This is so exciting. I'm just so thrilled to have a conversation with you and grow and think
Me too.
beyond the possibilities.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me too. And I think I'm going
Yeah.
to grow our conversation and learn so much from you because what a woman you are. And I can't wait to talk about your book. But let's just first congratulate you on everything that you're about. So you're a board certified anti-aging medicine, an award-winning naturopathic physician and integrated medicine pioneer, based in Bellevue, Washington, which I've just mentioned. You're the founder and chief medical officer of Holistic, and I love it because holistic with a Q. I love that. Medical Center, and you specialize in regenerative medicine, anti-aging therapies, integrated cancer care, metabolic and nutritional health, and chronic disease reversal, including Lyme and pain disorders. You're the author, and I want you to hold your book up if you don't mind, please. You're the author of The Golden Gate, which
There you
is
go.
such a beautiful name. And it's all around unleashing your feminine powers for graceful aging. And don't you, or to graceful aging, I should say. And graceful, we just don't use that word enough. Don't you agree? Like, I just find it such a beautiful word. Every time I say it, I feel like peaceful, if that makes sense. And it's based on your method, which I'm keen to explore, that it guides individuals to heal mind, body, and spirit, revealing their innate power to age gracefully, stay healthy longer, and become agents of transformation for global well-being. But not only that, you also serve on the board of the Mona Foundation. You're an educator, a speaker, and you've got a bit of a pause on your podcast at the moment, but you've got this Holistic Health Hour podcast that is, and it's all about supporting deep healing, vitality and feminine wisdom. I'm like, how do you do all of this? How did you like look at you? Like, firstly, congratulations. You are such an inspiring woman to me. Like when I first came across you, I was just like, oh my goodness, I am so honored to be talking to you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. It's my calling, right? And I think I was very blessed and lucky to find my calling at a very young age. And through the divine I practice spirituality quite a bit and meditate. And I've just been guided to do what I need to do. And I see it as a much bigger picture than just being stuck in this physical body,
Mm,
and so it gives me a great honor and blessing and to be doing what I do and to be speaking with you and to meet and be um, a partner in the healing journey of so many people. I have people from all over the world that come and visit me to be for healing, and I just feel very humbled.
mm,
And I don't know how I got here, but somehow I was led here. And it's
yeah.
such a blessing.
Yeah. And you said at such a young age. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, was there one moment where you were just like, were you a young girl? Like, did something,
Well, I should say like I was 15 or 16 and I had health issues throughout my childhood and teenage years. And I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and was suffering with a lot of pain. And my mom took me to a naturopathic doctor in our area, and he had just graduated, moved into that area. He was the first naturopathic doctor, and I saw him a few times, and I felt much better. And so then I had this mindset. I was raised with this virtue of harmony between science and spirituality, between science and the arts. And so I just resonated with that principle so much. And I was looking for that. I was looking for something that will combine the science and the arts, my right side and my left side of my brain, to work together, the logic and the spirit. And when naturopathic medicine came along, I thought, maybe this might be it. But I kind of pushed it away. My mom really wanted me to go into this field because my grandmother, or her grandmother, my great grandmother, Bibi, that I talk about a bit in the book as well, and on my TEDx talk, she was a physician, and so my mom always thought I was very similar and wanted me to go into this field, and I would, push back and resist. And then, but I went through my undergrad doing the pre-med and doing the sciences and the arts. I was a music major, linguistic major, and then the science, the pre-med, all the science, calculus, all of that, right? Organic chemistry and all that. And I was given a scholarship to go to the University Medical School in Vancouver, Canada. And I thought, I better spend a month or so just meditating and praying. And so I meditated, and I spent every day saying this very special tablet from the Baha'i writings called the Tablet of Ahmad. And it just very much touched my heart. And I would say that 9 times a day, and I would reflect and meditate. I was maybe, 21 at that time, 20, 21 by then. And just before I was to accept, just a few days before I was to accept the scholarship deadline, I said no to medical school. And instead I said, you know what, I'm going to go pursue what I really want, which is this harmony between science and spirituality and the arts and the science. And that to me is very holistically minded, is naturopathic medicine. And so I hadn't even applied to the school, to any of the schools. And I chose just one school and applied. And a month later, I had an interview and moved down here from Vancouver, Canada to Seattle, went to the school, and a month or maybe 3 months later, met my current husband. Been married for, 33 years now. Have 3 young adult daughters, and a full-time practice that's been thriving for 25 years.
Wow.
And so, so I felt like I was guided. And then after I actually finished my residency, my mom told me that her grandmother was a physician. I didn't know any of this before then. I didn't know that I had any of this in my ancestry. And
Is
I
that
found
her behind you? Who's that? Because I'm looking at this picture.
that one is my mom when she was young.
Oh, because I was like, is that BB?
Yes.
I was like, oh
Yes.
yeah. Because I was
Yes.
like, oh,
Yes.
that's such a
Mom when
prominent.
she died, when she was young. She
Yeah.
passed away. My mom passed away a few years ago.
Oh.
That's part of the story of the Golden Gate. So anyhow, so I realized that Bibi, my mom's grandmother, has been a major influence in helping me do what I need to do. Whether it's energetically, spiritually, whatever you want to think of it, I just feel like I've been guided by her to do her work now that she's not on the face of this earth.
Yeah. What an incredible story.
Yeah. So that's, here I am. And here you are. And here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. And tell me, so obviously your practice and then the anti-aging piece, like, so you go to uni or you study, then how did you then decide that you wanted to kind of be specializing in anti-aging medicine and all of that? Like what was.
Well, so basically the moment we got engaged, so this was, 34 years ago or something like that, my father-in-law was diagnosed with aggressive form of stage 4 prostate cancer.
Mm.
And he was given just a few weeks to live. And I was just in the first year, second year, something like that of naturopathic medical school. And so I asked him, why don't you go see so and so? So he started seeing that person, that doctor, and he thrived for 5 years. Did everything he wanted to do. Traveled to Europe, saw his grandchildren, children, and did whatever he wanted to do, and really was doing great. And then my mother-in-law was diagnosed a few weeks after his diagnosis, and then my sister-in-law, and then my cousin, and then my mother, and my other cousin, and then my dad. And so this list just went on and on about all of these people I'm surrounded with that have cancer. And so I felt like I was being pushed to go into this cancer field
Yeah.
and work with people from that perspective. But I saw cancer more as a journey and not as an end result. And I saw that cancer is really a state of aging. And so instead of waiting to be diagnosed with cancer, is there some way that we can slow down the aging process of the cells so that it doesn't lead to this crumbling effect and
Yeah.
impact of cancer? So now I work with both. I work with patients who are in their late stage or early stage cancer, and I also work with people in the whole anti-aging that want to stay youthful and reduce the risks of getting any chronic disease, but also be able to function.
Mm.
And so then that led me to writing this book, because when my mom was diagnosed, I started writing, and then life got too busy and I stopped the book. And then she passed away during COVID. And 6 months later, I had an editor that reached out to me and said, "Hey, we publish and edit books on health. Do you have a?" She didn't even say, "Are you interested?" She said, "Do you have a project for me?" And I thought, oh, maybe that book is supposed to come out now. So then I pulled the thing out and then I started working on it, and here it is. And I realized that my calling was to really empower women to be the best that they can be, because without us being the golden gates, we are the gateway to everything in this society, whether it's happiness and joy, whether it's generations, babies, past generations, societal peace, um, impact on everything, communities, that women are the gateway. We are the golden gates, and that we really need to step it up. And so I was really inspired by my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, the powerful woman that they were living and still are in spirit, how they've guided me and others to be the best, the most impactful woman that they can be. And so I'm wanting to get that message out,
Yes, I
that
love that
people,
message.
that women are the gateway, and we need to step it up. We need to recognize that. And as we do that, we create joy for ourselves and joy for others. And joy is in itself very healing.
Yeah. And we spoke briefly before the show that it's like we're in this like coming out of this old world and we're in this new world. And this is where the feminine, and this is where we do need to step it up. It's it's like it's our calling. It's society. It's like a feminine society calling for us to now be our best, shine. I call it shine out your brightest. Like it's all about
Yes.
shining your brightest, and how do you feel and perform at your best so that we are ensuring that the world continues to regenerate. It doesn't have to survive the way it has been surviving, I feel like, for quite some years. I spoke to someone the other day on the pod around, this dominance versus, we don't need everything to be so dominating. We need it to be more female energy, but also I do think there's an element of male energy and how the two can interact together. And you mentioned that before as well.
Exactly. Exactly. The way I see it, humanity is like a bird, and you've got one wing that's the masculine bird, that masculine wing, and then you've got the feminine wing. They're not the same wing, they're opposite, but they're complementary. And in order for that bird to fly, they need to work together, but take on different loads, and they have different ways of moving society forward. If we're too masculine, the society becomes very aggressive, what we see today. And if too feminine, then we become too wishy-washy, and
Yes.
it's just, and so you really need both aspects. And I talk about in this book the duality, this concept of duality, the masculine, feminine, the yin and yang. We have all of these systems of duality within ourselves, the estrogen and the testosterone. Every woman has estrogen, every woman has testosterone, every man has estrogen, and every man has testosterone, right? And so it exists in each one of us, this duality of masculine femininity. It's a matter of how do we bring that into balance within ourselves and within our communities and within the society, so that we can fly and become the best we can, individuals and as a society, to create peace, right? So, I get this visual of this bird taking off, see this magnificent eagle that takes off, and it's so peaceful and graceful
Oh,
when it's up in the air.
yeah. I love it. I love it. And you know why I love it so much? Because I so relate to it. Because I've got a good question for you actually. But when into that, I was telling you about my first, life break or life quake or whatever. I think it was my first mini burnout. But what I started exploring the female male energy that back then. And what I realized was, and I was looking up spiritually, what does this mean? Like, I'm always wanting to understand more and more. And I realized that, I think it was my right ankle, the left ankle, I can't remember which one right now, but whatever ankle I broke, it was the male energy was pushing through, and it was me like going
Right.
push, push, push. And I was at a
Yeah.
crossroads. It's explained that I was at a crossroads. So I had to learn all about because I'd been driving so hard for so long. I'd almost shut down my feminine side. And so that stress piece. And so then I had to recalibrate and understand, I had to be softer, I had to be more graceful. And I was just like, it was such a learning experience for me. With patients that you see, do you talk to them about this? Like, do you have these sorts of conversations with them? Obviously, I know that like it might sound a bit woo-woo, but like, can you see, so when you see someone, can you see, for example, that can you almost read and think they're too like they're out of balance in terms of their
Oh,
male feminine?
definitely.
Mm,
Definitely. And, but some are not ready to hear it.
yeah,
Right. So we kind of have to
yeah.
step by step hold their hand to that process. But definitely I see a lot of female executives. They're very dominant, very go, 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 rush. And then they collapse because of that, because they don't have enough of their feminine energy. And vice versa. Some of the homemakers, the very feminine, extremely feminine, and then they lose the masculine groundedness, and you have to bring that back. And so it's this balance that I feel like if we, each of us, whether we're man or woman, doesn't matter, bring that balance in with the masculine feminine energies within ourselves, the qualities, then we're able to progress and live life in much more joyful state, without feeling burnout.
And do
And
you,
giving it up when we need to give it up, and taking it on when we need to take it on.
Yeah. And do
you
you think
know?
that would eradicate then a lot of the like chronic illnesses? Like, do you think that would help? Like, because like you're right, right? You know, you said cancer was all around you. I know in the last few years it's been quite around me as well. You know, my mum, my dad, and then my mum was diagnosed. She's clear, which is good. One of my best friends passed away. You know, lots of different things. If like, and it's just like, man, this disease is just like it's everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, do you think that if we could get better? I'm not suggesting it's going to solve it, but like it does feel like the world is quite sick at the moment. It's like how do we change that? How do we address that? You know, so that we are more regenerating, like you're talking about. You know, like what's your view on all of that?
Well, I think that I have this quote actually that's a beautiful quote. It says, "The new age will be an age in which the masculine and feminine elements of civilization will be more evenly balanced." Right. And that's what we're trying to figure out as teenagers in a sense, right? The hormones are going wild. We don't quite know whether to be ragey or be or passive. We're trying to figure it out individually and as a society. And I do think that feminine, masculine energies and qualities and play a big role. And those qualities, that I'm also referring to are the nurturing, the kindness, the compassion, the intuitive.
Yeah,
Those are all we relate to as feminine qualities, right? Whereas the masculine qualities are more logic, more groundedness, more aggression. Those are the masculine qualities. So if we can intertwine both of them, makes a big difference. Um, I think for our own health and nervous system.
yeah, yeah,
It plays a role. But there is also this other um, thought is that when we come to a place that we are no longer slaves to our lustful appetites,
yes,
then maybe we can eliminate and eradicate a lot of diseases. And if you think about what lustful appetites could mean, all of us have it, you know. It could be anything from being addicted to sugar, to electronics, to work, to anything. We all are experiencing some kind of a lustful appetite. And getting hold of that can make a huge difference too.
yeah, I
And
agree.
when doctors start teaching us how to do that, we're at a stage where medicine is still in its infancy. We are just on the verge of growing into our teenage years with medicine. We haven't really gotten to a point where we recognize that everything that we need to help us heal has been given to us, whether it's an herb or water or heat or the sun or you know, we've been given all of that, but we haven't recognized how to use all of that for the purpose of our healing and for the purpose of our nutrition and nurturing and growth. So we're just starting to learn about all that with the biohackers out there that are, kind of checking some of this out. With obviously naturopathic medicine has been around using this for hundreds of years. And now science is proving the benefits of all
Mm,
the things that I learned in school. We're getting all the science and the research behind why hot and cold is good and why turmeric or curcumin is so anti-inflammatory. We're learning all of these powerful tools and the science behind it, but there's so much more that we don't know.
yeah,
And then accessing what we cannot see. For instance, the world, the realm beyond us, and that's where meditation comes in. When we can meditate and access that realm of the mysteries, because the world exists already. We just haven't tapped into it enough.
no. I think I could not agree more with you. And like I also think there's so much within us that we just don't even like I know for myself, like, it's been such a journey for me last few years, like, and having to really strip myself bare, or the universe has stripped me bare. And I'm like, what is this? But because we get so attached to this external world, like, like externally, like you say, that app, what was the word you used? The appetite.
Lustful
Lustful
appetite.
appetite. I love that. We have this lustful appetite for whatever it is because it's our ego. Our ego is like, is going, oh, I
Yes.
want that. I want that. And yet, actually, if we just sit still and, like you say, whether, it's meditation, that non-time, that being present, quite often is so much that comes from within that has the ability to be able to give the answers to what's next and what's to come. And it's that constant battle. Like I find with me, even like, with my lustful appetite, because I've got a lustful appetite for work, for example, that was part of my problem when I had my burnout and things like that. It's like this, it's like, coming back to the male and female or feminine and male energy. It's like, the egos, it's the male egos just kind of coming at me, but then now I'm here. Now what I hear more and more, and what I'm more and more aware of, is the feminine goes, no, I just want to flow. I just want to be. I just want to take my time. So like I've really started to really work through understanding like what's lustful appetite. Is it really like? Am I really like chasing it, or is this healthy? Is it a healthy bit, or is this actually a not gonna serve me well sort of thing? I don't know if I'm making sense there, but it's
Oh,
like
sure. Yes.
it's
Yes.
but you're right. Like people don't want to be told. It's almost like it's a journey. It's like you have to go on the exploration yourself. But what has helped me is having the integrative medicine, the naturopathic, because it's almost like it's just a different way of seeing things. It's a different exploration, if that makes sense as well. Like
Yes.
it's like when you go
Yes.
to a standard doctor, it's like, I'll just give you this. It's like, no, I want, like, there's got to be more than just getting, some antibiotics, for example. I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with antibiotics sort of thing, but I'm just, you know what I mean? Like I think society's
Yes.
always been like, we've always just gone, give me the quick solution. No matter what, we've always chased a quick solution. But what we're talking about here is having to step back and really look at everything holistically.
Yes. It's I talk in the book quite a bit about that quick fix and how
Yeah.
mindset has been like that. And it's a total different mindset. And I always, when patients come in here, for instance, I just had a patient who said, my kidneys are not well and they want to give me this and this and this. And I said, well, my question as a 2-year-old is why? Why is your kidney failing? Why? So I go back to my 2-year-old, question of why, why? Why are we the way we are? And so, because if we can answer that why and look deeper and not just give you something that will support that kidney function, but really correct the underlying problems. It could be a fear, it could be a chronic infection, it could be, it could be the food that you're eating, it could be anything. But if we can figure that out, then we're less likely to have that kidney concern move to something else as we suppress it with medications, right? So it's all about, to me, it's all about being curious and letting go, being open to shifting and letting it go. My mom, so you mentioned the KHOSH method.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
KHOSH,
about that.
the KHOSH in Farsi, my mother tongue, means joy. And so she would tell me KHOSH bosh. And KHOSH bosh means be joyful.
Oh, I love that.
She meant it in the sense that, don't let the fetters, this worldly, earthly life, weigh you down and get you old and age you and make you sick. Let it go. So hoshbosh means just let all that go and be joyful. Because the world goes by so quickly. This earthly life is so transient that you get stuck in the details and the traumas and the dramas. And before you know it, you're on your deathbed and time to go. And you missed out on being joyful, you know? And so we really need to recognize that joy is such a elevated state of being. It's not just an emotion, it's a state. And it's a powerful state. It's the highest state of being. It's got the most powerful frequency, highest frequency that we can resonate at as human beings. And so when we elevate ourselves to that level of joy, nothing on this earthly life really matters anymore. You go about, I mean, of course, it's important to eat and drink and, pay attention to your relationships and work and this and that, but you don't get stuck in it.
No.
You let it go easier because you're working from a higher level of joy. If this doesn't create joy and you get stuck in it, then you're in the wrong place. You need to let it go and elevate to that level of joy. And I think that takes some meditation too. It takes of letting go of that ego. It takes bringing in some of those feminine qualities. It takes just learning to be at peace with yourself and having faith.
Yeah, I agree. Trusting.
Having
I
the
was about to ask you
courage.
that. There's almost like that, trusting the process, having the courage.
Having the courage. I don't know if you listened to my TEDx talk, but I did a TEDx talk that was just published in February. And I talk about THC and LSD and how THC and LSD are the two forms of, you can call them very spiritual drugs that help you create joy. And what I mean by that is not THC and LSD that you're thinking. THC stands for truthfulness, humor, and courage. Okay, so if we can practice, bring that into our life on a daily
truthful,
basis,
humorous, and courage.
where we're being truthful with ourselves. Truthfulness is the foundation of all virtues. And if we can practice integrity and truthfulness with ourselves and others, that takes off a lot of burden off of our soul and spirit and stress, and it helps us be more joyful. Humor is obviously, if you can bring in humor to everything, create lightness, even when it's stressful, bring joy and humor into the situation. And then courage, having the courage to make a shift.
Yes.
To make a change.
Agree.
And that is something that can be very difficult for me anyways at times, is I get stuck and I want to make that change, but it's like, oh my gosh, I got to find that courage. But when we find that courage, it allows us to feel this joy coming in. We're ushering in that joy. And then LSD is learning, continuously learning.
Yeah, I agree.
And that activates all these brain cells. It activates our brain flexibility. There's so many mechanisms involved that help us create joy with just learning, right? And D is for detachment. So D is.
What was S?
I'm going to jump to that in just a second.
I thought you said
D is letting go.
Yeah.
I did. I jumped down to D. D is for detachment, right? Letting go, what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And S, LSD, S is service. And it's when we are of service to others, when we give to others, it's like a boomerang. The more you give away, the more it comes back to you, right? When you are doing something like, this is a service that you're doing for the world around you, and it brings you so much joy. It brings me so much joy.
It actually does.
Right? And it's because you're doing the service. And it seems like, oh, am I really doing a service? Yes, you are doing such a huge service to the world around you, and it elevates you. And it again ushers in that joy. So LSD, learning, service, and detachment. are very powerful, as are THC, truthfulness, humor, and courage.
And is that in your book as well?
No, it's in my TEDx talk.
Yeah, okay. Because I was
It's
like,
it's after I wrote the book and I was asked to give a TEDx talk. I thought I've got to figure out a way to make this so easy for people to remember
yeah, it's great.
and
I love it.
to use on a regular basis. And it just one day it just came to me, THC LSD. It's a drug. And people are wanting to use this stuff, but really we don't need the actual LSD and THC. We
No.
need the spiritual virtues that those letters bring us.
So I love it. I love everything about everything. Like it's just like I'm feeling so much joy. Like you radiate joy. I'm like your smile is just so like it's you've got this beautiful smile. What's
Yeah.
your what do you see as the biggest challenge we're facing right now as a society? And then how do
That's
you
a that's a pretty loaded question.
I know it's not loaded. I guess it's just more what do you like well, I guess it's probably there's lots of challenges out there, but like what do you see as the biggest opportunity for society? I mean, you've probably already talked about it with joy, but like if there's one thing we could do or start today for ourselves, what would that be?
I think it's actually being of service to others,
Yeah,
you know, and it could be as simple as planting a tree, right? It could be as simple as going visiting the elderly um, or talking to a child or visiting a friend who is suffering or, dying or, or just bringing joy to others. And that's a form of service in itself. Or just walking down the street and smiling to somebody. I don't know how Australia is. It's one of my bucket list places to visit.
oh, you have to come to
But here
Melbourne.
huh?
You have to come to Melbourne. You have to come.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I do. But here in Seattle, everybody's so serious. You walk down the street. I actually, this is so crazy. But the other day, I was traveling and I was at the airport, and um, they needed to pat me down. And this woman, obviously have woman pat you down, right? Woman to woman. And so I'm looking at her and I'm smiling. And she goes, "Why are you smiling?" And And that blew me away. To people don't smile, at least here in Seattle, enough to bring just the joy to others. And just by smiling, you're attracting so much positivity.
100%.
And and that's a service to others.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Do you know what else it is? It's this. Just walking like this. It drives me crazy. Like, have you, when I go on, like, catch public transport into the city, I'm like 10 minutes train ride, tram ride. Like, it's just unbelievable. Or like you're at dinner, and it's just like people are on their phones. I'm just like, or you're walking, like, I'm walking my puppy. I'll be walking along and people will be just like this. It's just like, look up. Like look up. It's like
Yeah,
astounding. It actually freaks me out a lot of the time. I'm just like, wow, there was life without these phones. It was like it's like
yeah,
you're talking about like we're missing out. And I know even my own self for so long I was so just attached and like work was just everything. I wasn't looking around. I wasn't looking up. I wasn't smiling. I was surviving. I was
yeah,
just surviving. And the woman that you were talking about when she said like, why are you smiling? She's probably just, she's surviving. And there's another way to live. There's another way to live.
yeah,
And if that
yeah,
is one thing that, your book, you're doing, I'm doing is that there's more to life than just existing is what we're talking about here.
yes, yes. But that woman started smiling by the end of my little pat
Of
down.
course you did. Of course you did. You can't ignore your smile. It's like what people say about me as well. It's like, you make me smile. Someone said to me the other day, one of my clients was like, "Bee, how do you stay so positive?" And I'm like, oh, I don't try. I don't try. Like this isn't fake. Like I am who I am. I have my bad days. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
But
yes.
but
Yeah.
I choose to not let it define me, and I choose joy.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I choose joy.
Yes. Yes. You know, they have done studies on the smiling, even if you don't feel joyful, just start smiling. And it actually just the mechanism of a smile creates physiological
Yeah.
changes in your body that creates joy, right? And they have also shown how joy can actually impact our cellular health,
Mm.
slow down the aging process. There's research coming out looking at that, how it reduces inflammation. You know, I mean, there is a lot of research coming out about how people who are more optimistic, more joyful, tend to live longer and
Mm.
healthier. It's mind-boggling how just getting up in the morning, even if you just don't feel like it, force yourself to look in the mirror and smile.
Yeah.
And then it becomes an automatic thing,
Yeah, it does actually. It totally does. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then it impacts you on a spiritual level, and um, and then you're just going about being happy and joyful. It, you know, I just want to see more people let go of the deep seated drama and trauma that we all faced with the pandemic. And before that, you know, some people in their childhood. I mean, we all have had traumas and dramas. That's part of being a human. That's part of being, you
Yeah.
know, human suffering. But can we arise beyond that? And it's not easy, but when we do, it's this extreme sense of satisfaction and joy that overtakes us,
Yeah.
you know? So,
Absolutely. Oh, Nooshin, you're such a beautiful person, and I could
oh,
talk
thank
to you
you.
for days and days. How do we get a hold of your book? Is it through Amazon? Where?
Amazon, a lot of the online, all the online bookstores should have it. The Golden Gate.
Yes, absolutely. And then
And
how do we hear
yeah,
about more about you? How do we find out more about you? TED Talk we can find on YouTube.
you can find it on TEDx Talk. Yes, you can just put in my name, Joy Darvish, Joy. It should come up. Um, but you can also look at my website, drdarvish.com, drdarvish.com, or you can go to holistique.com, holistique.com. So you can reach me in multiple ways, and if I can be of service to help you heal and bring you joy, that's all I want to do.
Oh my God, you're incredible. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so
Thank
much for your
you.
time today. I've had such
Thank
a joyful
you.
conversation. There's so many different ways we could have gone into this today, and I'm sure there's another conversation at some point around another topic that is all interconnected and related. But I've actually just thoroughly enjoyed chatting to you. You've actually made my weekend. You've kicked my weekend
Oh,
off
good.
in the most
Thank
joyful
you.
possible
Well,
way. So thank you so much.
thank you. You brought me joy too. So, and thank you for this opportunity to help me share this message of joy
Yeah,
and well-being and longevity just by smiling. So, thank you
thank
for
you.
being you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have a great afternoon. I was going to say have a great weekend as well, but have a great Friday
Thank you. You
afternoon.
too. Enjoy your sunshine.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.